Hello, my loves. Welcome. It is a Saturday and I am on my robe. I'm chilling. I've been watching Love is Blind today. And normally I've been doing camera off, but I got a glimpse in the camera and I was like, I look kind of cute. And I want to just have you guys see my face. I feel like there is a different energy when you're actually seeing somebody's face and you're able to look into their eyes versus just listening on a podcast. And this episode is for you if you have been struggling financially. I'm going to share examples specifically around finances or your bank account, but you can apply it to any area of your life where you feel like you just can't get your head above water. You can't figure it out. You've been struggling in this area for a while. Maybe you keep repeating the same cycles and the same loops and it's not getting better. Maybe you've been investing, hiring coaches, hiring support, reading the money books, listening to the money podcasts, and you're still feeling stuck. And maybe it's even frustrating that you're seeing people around you start to soar. Maybe people in your industry who are starting to do really well and they started after you. Or you know of a mentor who it just happened so quickly and they barely have to work or do anything. What I want to say to you is that you are convicted for more. The greater your calling, the greater the blessing you're going to be experiencing, the greater the opposition. The enemy knows that there's something amazing within you. So it's going to try to come for you even harder. And usually the thing that you are meant to be an expert at, or at least get to experience an abundance of, you usually go through the duality of it, where you also get to experience the other side of not having it, to be able to truly embrace and appreciate and have gratitude for the abundance of the fullness of that thing coming into fruition. A lot of times, not always, there's always an exception to the rule, but a lot of times you go through pain and you go through sacrifice and you go through struggle. And what I've learned from my life when I do move to the other side of things, it's because I get to really enjoy it. You don't know heat without cold and vice versa. So same thing, you don't know an abundance of money truly and a character of somebody who has a lot of money and didn't just inherit a lot of money and win the lottery. Like you built that up, that character. You really appreciate, especially if you had really a lot of moments and seasons of being very broke or feeling like you could not get your head above with water or finances, no matter how hard you tried, no matter how many hours you worked. And what I want to share is that there most likely is something that God is not validating for you. And the lesson hasn't necessarily become painful enough where you're actually taking it seriously and doing something about it. For me with drinking, I was able to go 2 months without drinking. So I wasn't classifying myself as an alcoholic because I can go 2 months. I'm not under a bridge drinking out of a bag. I'm not waking up in the morning and pouring shots. I've definitely had seasons of doing that in college, right? But it got to the point I'm not a daily drinker, so I must not be an alcoholic because that was the image, the stereotype I had in my mind. But yet I knew I wanted to quit. I knew I wanted to be done. I knew I had many moments of saying, this is it. I want to be done. And I wasn't able to. And I had a cycle and a pattern of drinking every 2 months. The binge would start. And then the same thing. I'm done. I'm never doing it again. Finally, it took me getting sober for 6 months. Not huge changes, but some. I paid off my credit card. I started to have a savings. I reduced all my expenses. I started to get my shit together with my finances. Like I felt good, but nothing crazy amazing happened in my life. And that sneaky thought came back of, well, now things are okay. And now you know some more about it and you can go have a drink. Like you're not an alcoholic. No. And so I went and tested that theory. And what did I do? I said, I'm going to go book a staycation and I just want to have some room service. I want to have a weekend to myself. I I booked this luxury hotel. I negotiated it down $200 from what it was. So it was a nice freaking place. I get in the room, I change my outfit, put on a little makeup, and I go walk across the bridge and I go to lunch. It's about 4 p.m. at this point, and I say, I'm just going to have a glass of wine. I'm going to have a steak. I'm probably going to have a chocolate dessert after. I ordered that glass of wine. I'm feeling good. The view is beautiful. I look over to my left and I see the water. It's sparkling. I can see my hotel. I feel alive. You know that feeling you get with the first few sips of that first glass of wine and it feels so good? It's such a high. It's such a buzz. It's such a contrast of how you were feeling right before it. Well, that is what I didn't realize. That was what I was addicted to. And that was what I was searching for after each drink. But how the devil has it play out is you're not going to feel that feeling again after the first one. You got it with the first one, and that's it. 2 max. What then happens? Consequences happen. So I wanted a second one because I want that feeling again. And I just want to heighten that feeling. It's such a contrast of how I felt before. It's such a unique feeling. So I get a second one. I'm like, I'm just going to have 2. I have the second one. I'm feeling amazing. The waitress comes over and I decided I'm just having 2. That's it. Cut me off. Good. She's like, would you like another glass of wine? And I was like, absolutely. Yes, of course. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's 5 o'clock right here. Yes. So she comes, she brings the third glass of wine. And that for me was where I lose it. And I am walking back to my hotel and I'm feeling great. I'm like, okay, now I'm going to go enjoy the hotel room. I just spent a bunch of money on this. I'm going to go have room service, maybe get some French fries. I like to do that at hotels. And there's just something about a king bed and those beautiful white hotel sheets and French fries or just the food in the bed. I just love that. I love that. And that's why I wanted this. But as I'm walking back to the hotel room, my thought goes, oh my God, there's a pub on the other side of the bar. And this town is just so cute and you can just walk around. So I just want to go have one beer in a frosted glass. Well, I went and I had that one beer, and that one beer turned into 4 beers, to 5 beers, to 6 beers, to who knows how many beers after that, to taking shots and shots and shots, to champagne, to champagne, to champagne, to this bar, to this bar, to this bar, to this bar, till I wake up at 4 a.m. in my hotel. All my clothes are on. There's the lights are on. There's a huge wet spot next to me. I don't have my wallet. I blacked out. I only had the intention of going for a glass, maybe 2 max at 4 p.m. I wake up 4 a.m. feeling like absolute trash, spent so much money. I did not enjoy the hotel room at all. I just went in there to change and then I woke up. And that's what the enemy does. It thinks, ooh, you're going to get a buzz. You're going to feel high. Treat yourself. You got this. And so you follow that feeling, that high, that buzz, and then you keep disregarding the consequences. And so for me, that relapse had to teach me and show me that I could have the intention all day long that I just want 1 or 2 glasses of wine, and I cannot. It's not going to happen the way that I want, and there's going to be consequences, and it's going to keep getting more and more painful. So that was the pain moment I needed. Maybe you haven't had your full-on pain moment where it's like there's nowhere else to go because I clearly can't do it this way anymore. I can't live this way anymore. We hear these stories, right? One of my favorite mentors, she lived in a car for weeks and weeks. Like, can you imagine living in a car? Not just for like a day or two, but like weeks. You're living in a car? That's it. Steve Harvey lived in a car for 3 years. The people that we admire, that we look up to, they went through incredibly painful moments where God was not validating the way that they were doing things anymore. And they were destined for greatness, for amazing things. They didn't feel that in those moments. I didn't feel that in my moment in my relapse. Felt like trash. I didn't know that that was actually one of the greatest things that could have ever happened to me in the moment. In hindsight, I can see. So that pain of what happened, it solidified and made it so clear to me that I can't continue on. I can't do this in a safe way. It's just not possible. And so before I really have opportunities to experience and enjoy my life, I had to learn that lesson. Before God was giving me all of the things I was praying for, I had to learn that lesson, and I had to go through that pain, and I needed to experience the consequences of it. And I needed to see that God was not going to give me every single prayer and blessing I was asking for until I gave it up, until I did things differently. If you're doing something that God is telling you to stop doing, or that's out of integrity with your soul, or that's the opposite of what something in the new identity that you want to step into would be doing, how are you going to get proof or evidence that the way you're doing things is working? There's going to be a consequence, and you're probably not happy. So when it comes to your finances, is there a pattern that you just keep repeating that you just think is going to go away with time, or it's just going to get better on its own and it's not sorting itself out and you're not happy from it? Maybe you're getting that instant high, that instant buzz that I would get on my first glass of wine when you go spend and you go shop, even though you told yourself you're on a budget and you're using the Mint app, and you just ignore it in the moment because it feels good and you have whatever excuse comes up. But then there's a consequence. You feel regret. I didn't even need that thing. I told myself I wasn't going to spend money. Oh my God, now I don't have enough money for this. And all of those kind of feelings and consequences start to pile on. If you're stuck in a certain pattern or situation that has been detrimental to you, you got to stop digging. You got to take a look at it. You got to ask yourself, are you done with the pain? Is this it? Is it over? Can you keep living this way? Can you keep going on? And know that God is going to use all of your pain and struggle. When you are on the other side of it, all it will be is a distinct memory. It's just a memory. You won't have to revisit it. You won't have to live that way again. Sometimes when we are on the other side of things, we forgot how bad it was. I was at the mall the other day and I was at Nordstrom and I'm just feeling like a billionaire. Just not a care in the world, no worries, nothing. Just looking around these beautiful $500,000, $600,000 dresses. And I had to stop myself and I went, whoa. I'm walking around feeling and being the way that I was praying for years and years ago. And here I am. And I felt guilty for a moment. Like, who am I to feel this amazing? Who am I to have such a good life? Who am I to have amazing health and beauty and finances? And who am I? It was that core feeling, that like unworthiness wound. I felt it. I felt it creep up right when I was feeling really good. Like, I'm not even doing anything great. Like, why? And I had to check myself before I wrecked myself. And I had to say that I struggled so fucking hard for so many years, working so many hours and putting myself out there when nobody was listening. Nobody was paying me. Nobody was showing up. Nobody was signing up. Nothing was happening. I was struggling over and over and over and over and over again. But what happened was when I was in a moment of feeling really peaceful and abundant, I wasn't thinking or connecting to all of the feelings where it was so painful. It was so painful and it was so hard and it was so many years of it too. It wasn't just a little bit of time. It was like many seasons, many years of like, oh my God, this is not working. Like, I'm so broke. I'm so hungry. I'm so alone. I wasn't thinking that in the moment of where it worked out and it's all good. And that moment was special for me because it really had me sink into the gratitude of, wow, it's all temporary. Everything I thought was permanent, it was temporary. And it really did, on a logistical level, go on for a really long time. But now in present day, this moment, I'm not experiencing that. It's gone. It's done. That's how part of your story can be too. Can you start living into your story right now as if what you're going through right now, especially if it's this hardship, that this is just going to be a distant memory? This is just going to be a part of your story that you tell. And this is going to be a part that you're going to anchor in right now. I invite you to be so present to your situation, to anchor into it, so that when you're on the other side, you're so grateful and you know that you went through the duality of your great situation, that you can soak it in like no other. You can release fear of other people being jealous or thinking, who are you to be so beautiful and powerful and talented and happy and in an amazing relationship and have a lot of money and a lot of influence and a lot of impact. Either way, you get to feel that way unapologetically. But for me, it really helped reminding myself of, whoa, I lived that other way. I lived that other way of sacrifice and struggle and scarcity and loneliness and heartbreak for years, many years. Of course, I'm going to embrace feeling amazing, looking amazing, being amazing. I did not go through hell and back and back and back to not. One of the things I see with my clients when they're self-sabotaging or they're procrastinating is they are afraid to be fabulous. We all know that Marianne Williamson quote, it's not our darkness we're afraid of, it's our light. So many people are afraid to experience this amazing version of themselves because it actually can feel really freaking scary because it's not the norm. Most people are broke, they're struggling, they're not happy, they're sick. That's the majority of the world. It's abnormal, although it should be the normal, to be happy, to be healthy, to feel good, to feel beautiful inside and out, to be generous, to be thoughtful, to be loving, to experience peace and joy. Because when you feel that way, that can come with a lot of other people misunderstanding you. That can come with a lot of people not accepting you. That can come with a lot of people being jealous or threatened by you or trying to find something wrong with you or trying to bring you down. So a lot of people run from doing the action steps that they need to take to be fabulous and abundant and beautiful because subconsciously they don't think they can handle it, especially if you're a sensitive person. And I'm here to show you that you can. You are a master at your rock bottom. You're a master at that version of yourself where you stay stuck in the same loops and patterns and cycles. And you're so close, but then you self-sabotage. You know that version of yourself like the back of your hand. But the version of yourself where you are fabulous and your prayers have played out and you are living your dream life, you just haven't met her yet. But she exists. And you get to be her. And you get to remind yourself right now in this moment, remind yourself, you struggled and you sacrificed enough. You have all of the qualifications and credentials to be able to unapologetically own your brilliance and your magnificence. You've handled jealousy and criticism and people leaving you and misunderstanding you and not approving you before. You're probably actually an expert at it. So the mere fact that you might be afraid of that if you are fabulous, remind yourself you've already handled all that when you weren't fabulous. So while you're fabulous, at least enjoy it. God is actually doing you a favor right now if it's not working out for you. I didn't know it at the time, but I look back, the relationships or the crushes I had, the guy doesn't like me back. Even though I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, a million red flags, but I want them. I wanted them. I wanted them to want me. All these other guys want me, but this one guy doesn't want me. And that must mean something's wrong with me then. And I'm going to prove to him and I'm going to be the best and I'm going to work so hard and he's going to love me and he still doesn't want me and he wants that girl and she's not even cute. That was my story for way, way, way too long. But I'm so glad that guy didn't want me. He wasn't good for me. He wasn't a kind, nice, generous, loving guy. I'm so glad I didn't get what I wanted. When the guy I thought I wanted to marry moved out with no warning, I was devastated. I was heartbroken. I was blindsided. When I could evaluate that from a clear mind, I could see, thank you so much, God. You got me out of this relationship. because I got into that relationship with my will. This person had asked me out for a year and I was not attracted to them. I just didn't like them. I wasn't into them. Then one day I saw that they were kind of living a lifestyle and had some values that I thought were similar to what I wanted. So I was like, you know what? This guy likes me so much. Let me give him a chance. And I had to talk myself into being attracted to this person and making it work. Like it always just felt a little bit off. I gained 20 pounds in this relationship in 9 months. My body was inflamed. I was getting yeast infections, UTIs left and right. Like it was not right in my body. I did not have this peace. And so for the longest time, I was so mad at God. Like, how could you let this happen to me? But what I didn't realize was that I was going against God's will for me. God didn't place an attraction in me to be with this person. And I ignored that. I denied my heart and I followed my logic. But look how freaking merciful and graceful God is. He removed that person from my life quickly and in a way where it felt unforgiving to the point where I'm not going to ever be able to trust this person and be able to be with them. How would I ever trust having children with somebody who can just walk out like that without even a conversation? This person moved out when I was at school one day. He didn't tell me. We had sex that morning. I come home and his stuff's gone and he's just standing there. I moved out. I was like, okay, that's it? He's like, yeah, I already did it. My friend came and helped me. I look back and I'm like, God is so hilarious. Like, how easy did God make that for me? But imagine, this is where I'm so grateful. Imagine if we did have that conversation. I may have been able to convince him to stay. I may have been able to talk him into it. The beautiful thing about all of this, too, is I'm so grateful because God worked through him to implant in his heart to move out, to get out, and to do it quickly and to do it in a way that's she's not going to take you back. God worked through him. So me being mad at him is silly. He acted perfectly. He was the perfect character in my story that God placed in my life. And I'm so grateful. And now I can get on here and share with my platform the beauty of forgiveness, the beauty of when somebody God removed, when that, the beauty of what happens when God removes somebody from your life. There's so many lessons and so many wisdom from that experience. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful I learned that lesson, especially at a very young age. I got to have the wisdom that I don't need to force and control relationships. And if somebody leaves my life, I'm grateful for God for doing so. Some people don't learn that for a really long time. I'm grateful. And so if something's not working in your life, especially with your finances right now, can you be grateful? Maybe you're not supposed to be spending money on that thing that you think that you want so bad and you're pushing and forcing and trying to make the money happen for it. And you don't want to give it up because you don't want to feel like a failure and you don't want to feel like you can't do something. But can you at least ponder for a moment right now that maybe that's not the best thing for you? Maybe that actually isn't what God wants for you. Maybe there's something better or more aligned. Maybe you're not supposed to be going down the route that you keep forcing and pushing and controlling, especially with a business, for example. And you're wanting it so bad and you don't want to feel like you gave up. You don't have to give up on living a miraculous, beautiful, abundant life, but maybe you do need to let go of the way that you're doing it, the avenue that you're doing it. You don't have to just throw the towel in and be like, I'm a failure, I'm done, I'm not going to have a purposeful life. No, it's just maybe you need to check the avenue or the thing that you're trying to pursue or the relationship that's not working. It's just not it. I racked up a ton of debt investing in all these coaches and all these mentors because my will was I want to be the spiritual teacher. I want to be the spiritual coach. That wasn't what God wanted, though. God wanted me to come back to my heart, to my relationship with Jesus. That was my original truth. I swayed away from it. I got shiny object syndrome. And I kept investing and forcing and controlling and pushing and pulling out credit cards and opening personal loans and going into debt and debt and debt and debt and fucking my credit up in the name of I don't want to give up. To finally, oh my God, I'm at a rock bottom. I cannot keep digging. What am I doing? What is happening? I had to let it all go. And I had to rebuild my business from scratch and start all over. And it was the most humbling experience of my life. And I had to adopt so much humility and grace to see that, wow, what I was trying to build was not what God was wanting me to build. And no wonder it wasn't working. How grateful and blessed am I that it did not get to the size I wanted it to get to when I was operating and doing it that way. I'm so lucky. I'm blessed. I'm blessed I did not get what I thought I wanted. God saved me from some really big messes that I would have to go back and clean up and retract a lot of statements and a lot of work. And I did a lot, but I never reached the level going down that avenue, that path. I didn't give up. That I get to live an abundant, beautiful, miraculous, fully expressed, playful, joyful life. I just had to let go of the avenue I was trying to force and control for so many years. And I get to finally see it from a bird's eye view of, wow, that wasn't what God wanted for me. So, what is it for you? What are you holding on to, dear life? What is something that God has been asking you to let go of that you're not letting go of, or you're not reaching out for the proper support and help? What is something that you just think you need to hold on to and you cannot give up on? Where's an area in your life right now, or where with your finances do you need to stop digging? To stop digging, to get your head out of the sand, to actually pay the debt off, to actually save money, to actually have a retirement account? What do you need to do? What guidance has been instilled in your heart that you are ignoring or you are denying because you keep following that high, that buzz, that initial feeling that I would get from the one glass of wine? But then you're going into a blackout and more consequences, more remorse, more guilt, farther away from where you even were before that glass of wine. Take a moment right now to be grateful it hasn't gotten as bad as it could get, and that you have an opportunity right now to clean it up and to start taking action. God not validating things is good. This is the final piece of all of this. I actually am so grateful I wasn't given all of the money I thought I wanted and was asking for, because I would have gone and spent it more on things that were out of alignment, that would have taken me farther and farther and farther and farther away from God, that would make it even harder to come back home to my heart. When I was in a place of not having any money, I had to learn, what do I really need versus what do I really want? And I noticed a lot of times what I really want were the things that were taking me away from my goals. I was overindulging in things that were actually making me sicker, making me more miserable, taking me away from what it was that I really wanted. But if I had all the money in the world at the time, I would have kept spending more on the things that are making me broker, the things that are making me sicker, the things that are making me overweight, the things that are making my body inflamed. I would have kept spending and spending and spending and spending and spending. That's why I actually think it's a gift right now. If you're in a season of feeling broke, you can start to learn to spend money on what's important for you and what's actually getting you closer to your health goals and to feeling good and to feeling at peace. And that was all I started to really want. And so now I get to live in a space where it feels so amazing with whatever I have, because I know how to live on nothing. So when I have extra things, it's really nice. It's just really beautiful. But I can now be discerning, and my choices don't come from how much is this going to cost me, or I'm going to buy the cheaper option. It's now, which is the one that's going to contribute the most to my well-being, to my health, to my peace, to my happiness, to my goals, to what really matters. I get to make the decision from that. And that's when I'm not in a place of scarcity anymore. But I got to learn all of those lessons and build that character and those habits when I was in deep scarcity. So use the season to build your character, to build your habits, to clean some things up, and know that this season is temporary, and pray for this turnaround of this season quickly or in God's time, really, because I didn't know for those years and years where I was struggling that those were actually fundamental years of me being able to now be able to hold so much more. I personally needed to go through all of that. One last thing, because this is just so good. I could have also been saying, God, get me out of the struggle, get me out of the struggle, get me out of the struggle. But God's will was the struggle at that time because it was building my character and my faith. So sometimes we're praying on things and we think that that's what's best for us, but we don't know what God's going to do with our story and our season that we're in. So instead of just the foxhole prayer of God, get me out, God, get me out, it's just, God, I pray for peace. I pray for clarity. I pray for joy. I pray for knowledge. I pray for wisdom. I pray for your blessings. Lead me, guide me, show me. What is your will, God? I give you my will. I might think I know what's best, but I know you know what's best. Give it up to God. And then watch how your thoughts start to change. Ideas start to change. Solutions start to drop in. You'll hear something on TV, somebody says something. It all will start to change and rearrange. But you have to be open. You have to be willing. You have to let go of your will and the way that you're doing. But I know right now you're listening to this because you're in a season of you're working, you're reaping, you're going to enjoy the harvest. You're going to experience that. And this time is not wasted. So I'm so grateful you're here. Send me a DM on Instagram at Onalee Malcolm if any of this resonated with you. If you want to just say hi, come connect with me. I'd love to actually get to know you. And if you liked this and you want to hear more things from me, go ahead and subscribe. Share it with your friends. Leave a review. It helps me reach more people. I am so looking forward to connecting with you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.